You ever watch two teammates argue on the sideline and feel like you just saw the whole season happen in 10 seconds? That's what happened in Cleveland. Jerry Jeudy and Shedeur Sanders had a heated sideline exchange that the cameras caught, and the internet did the rest. But before you slap a narrative on it, fractured locker room, panic, doom, let's walk through what actually happened, why it happened, and what it tells us about the Browns' offense right now. It starts with the image. Jeudy pacing, hands talking faster than his words, Sanders pointing at the tablet, shaking his head, the two of them split by a clip that played on loop. That clip sold itself as conflict, and conflict clicks. But the players who lived it were blunt and even boringly realistic afterward. They hashed it out, they fixed it privately, and they moved on. Everything's good, both Sanders and Jeudy said in slightly different ways, the kind of answer that means the work is done behind closed doors. That's the headline you'll miss if you only look at the GIFs. Now look at the context. Jeudy is coming off a season where he was a 90-catch Pro Bowler, and this year he's at 35 catches through 12 games. He's frustrated. You'd be too. Targets that used to become first downs show up as drops. Routes that created separation last year aren't consistently doing it now. From his perspective, if the quarterback is staring or holding, it's easy to fire off a pointed, we've got to be on the same page in a sideline breath. Sanders, a fifth-round rookie who didn't start getting first-team reps until late in the season, hears that and reacts like someone who's trying to build trust on the fly. He points to the tablet. That's a quarterback saying, look at the design, do the thing. The back and forth escalates because both men care, and because the season is thin on patience. Here's the truth nobody likes to say. That argument is actually a form of communication, not collapse. It's what a competitive locker room looks like when expectations and reality clash. Jeudy's role is performance-based. His frustration is performance-driven and practical. Sanders' response is defensive and developmental. He's learning the micro details of timing, cadence, and route depth that receivers take for granted. That short clip is less evidence of dysfunction and more a snapshot of a team trying to figure out how to make football plays in real time. But there's a second layer here that matters: timing and trust. Sanders admitted he's been holding the ball too long, a big red flag for any offense, and he tied it to what he calls negative energy. That's not psychobabble. It's the emotional loop quarterbacks fall into when an offense stagnates. You get rattled, you look for a shoot-the-moon play, you hang on, and the pocket collapses. Next thing you know, you're the viral GIF and not the film room project. Jeudy's complaints about route depth or timing aren't personal digs. They're an attempt to shortcut that loop. Release early is how receivers survive NFL speed. When those releases aren't happening, receivers get annoyed because routes are wasted, not because they're dramatic. Stat check. Sanders has one of the slowest average times to throw among qualifying QBs in the recent sample, 6 sacks in a handful of games. That's not conjecture. It's a mechanical signature that feeds receiver frustration. If the quarterback's eyes are in the right place, but the ball comes late, the receiver's route has to subtly alter to avoid traffic. That tiny change breaks timing. Jeudy is right to point that out on the sideline, and Sanders is right to want the play to be executed as drawn. Both points are true at once, which is why the argument felt, to those watching, both inevitable and fixable. So what's the actual fix? First, the coaches have to make the right micro adjustments. This isn't about insulting a kid or benching a Pro Bowler. It's about structuring reps and packages so the quarterback's habits change. Script the first 10 plays like it's training camp. Quick snap rhythm, pre-snap reads that are 2 steps, not 6, and route concepts that give receivers a clearer target window. Use mesh and quick outs to build quarterback confidence and receiver timing. Second, emphasize pocket mechanics in practice. Footwork drills that make the release automatic, hot reads that are muscle memory instead of mental math, and controlled late-game simulations that let both players practice reactions without the scoreboard pressure. Third, accountability. Not theatrical anger, but numbers-driven feedback. If Jeudy drops a catch or runs the wrong depth twice, that has to be recorded and corrected like weight room metrics, not turned into a meme. There's also a cultural play here. Sanders' statement, trust in team, trust in everybody, is not fluff. Quarterbacks that succeed in the NFL make everyone around them feel safer. That doesn't happen through pep talks. It happens when a QB gets through reads quickly enough that receivers can plant, cut, and beat the leverage they practiced. It happens when linemen believe the plan protects them and when tight ends see consistent checks. Trust is a muscle you build with reps and predictability. Right now, the Browns have been operating on a system that prioritized one rookie's development earlier in the season, and Sanders' late entry means that muscle is undertrained. The sideline spat was a painful but honest reminder of that gap. Let's be realistic about stakes. The Browns are 3-9, and patience is a rare commodity in that climate. Fans will scream start him now or bench him forever, depending on which highlight they saw first. But good organizations tilt towards process when results are scarce. If the Browns want to find out what Sanders can be, they need to remove noise and provide calculated opportunities. A full week of first-team reps if Gabriel is unavailable. A simplified game script that leans on short throws and pre-snap motion to create easy reads. And dedicated sessions where Jeudy and Sanders work on depth and timing without cameras. If the team instead treats the argument like a scandal, they'll trade development for headlines and achieve neither. Now, imagine a week later. They give Sanders cleaner looks, Jeudy gets routes at consistent depths, and the offensive line chips and slides. The timing tightens. The sideline still has heat now and then. Football's an emotional sport, but it's the sort of heat that makes players better, not the kind that fractures them. That's the best case scenario. It's achievable because both players already said what matters. They resolved it and moved on. That's not a PR line. It's a functional decision to keep the work private and the results public. Here's the thing to remember. The cameras love conflict because conflict is simple. Growth is messy and slow, and it doesn't cut a highlight clip. The Jeudy-Sanders exchange will give us 3 headlines: outrage, comedy, closure. But the real story lives in minutes and reps. Will the Browns let the conversation stay productive? Will coaches change practice scripts to shrink Sanders' time to throw? Will Jeudy and Sanders keep nudging each other in film rooms instead of clip reels? Those answers will determine whether this moment becomes a turning point or just another viral oddity. So what's the takeaway? The sideline argument wasn't the problem. It was the symptom. The problem is a developmental timeline smashed by circumstance. A rookie quarterback who's late to first-team reps, a Pro Bowl receiver frustrated by drops in timing, and a coaching staff balancing growth with immediate needs. When you unpack it, the solution is straightforward and boring. Structure, reps, and accountability. Not flashy, not tweetable, but effective. Final image: 2 men on a sideline, chest to tablet, voices rising for a second, then walking away like coworkers who just corrected a spreadsheet. That's the playbook moment. Not melodrama, but the hard, private work that football demands. If the Browns keep doing that work instead of selling the story to the timeline, they'll be better for it. If they don't, we'll have more clips to talk about and fewer wins to show for it. Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy hit the sideline boiling point the way competitors sometimes do. Loud voices, flying hands, and a CBS camera perfectly zoomed in at the worst moment. What looked like a meltdown in real time turned out to be exactly what both guys said it was. Emotion, frustration, and 2 players trying to sort out a busted play in the middle of a 26-8 loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Sanders kept it short when asked about it. They talked, handled it, and moved on. Jeudy went deeper, admitting he should have waited until the cameras weren't rolling because he knows how fast a normal football